Hi guys, back Paul here. Today then I thought I'd bring you a video based on my trip to the motorcycle live show at the Birmingham NEC. You may have seen a lot of videos on my channel in the past week, which is footage taken from the popular models or models that I think will be popular going forwards. And if you have a look over my channel, those videos are short videos, just basically a walk round of each bike and the specification of the bikes. But in this video, I wanted to do a kind of overall view of the event, give you my thoughts and opinions and kind of a tour of the different stands. So first stop is the Kawasaki stand here. There's a couple of models that I was interested in, one being the ZH2, so that's the supercharged naked bike that Kawasaki have got, and also the Z900. The ZH2 was a kind of focal point of the stand, but everything was really well presented and laid out. They had a lot of machines on show, and yeah, really impressed with the Kawasaki stand this year. Going forward, we'll be looking at this ZH2. Again, like I say, it's the main bike that they were focusing on at this event. This particular colour scheme I'm not really sold on. I think it looks better in the Kawasaki green. And the bike itself, from a styling point of view, I think side on it looks good, but the front headlight is quite large and wide, and I could hear a few comments from people looking at the bike who were kind of 50-50 on that. I think it's one of those bikes, it's a bit Marmite. Some people will love it, some people won't. It certainly looked aggressive, and obviously its main selling point is a supercharger, but the headlight is definitely going to be controversial. It's very large, and it kind of distracts from the rest of the bike a little bit. So this is a Z900. They've made a few changes to this, kind of styling tweaks with regards to the lights, the LED lights. They've also updated some of the electronics. I believe they've changed the exhaust due to emissions regulations, and we've got a TFT dash on there now as well. It's a fantastic looking bike, and it's got stiff competition. Obviously, you've got the MT09, this Street Triple, and so on. But it was a great looking bike, so very impressed with that and the styling of it. Again, the headlight's quite wide, so whether everybody will like that or not, I'm not certain. But the rest of the bike, I've personally thought looked great. So moving on then, this is a Honda stand. Main model I was looking at on the Honda stand was the 2020 Fireblade, and they had a whole area designated to this bike. I think it looks styling wise fantastic in this kind of stealth black. There's been a lot of changes. It's a completely new engine, and also they've made some changes to the electronics on the bike. But yeah, from a visual point of view, it looks brilliant. This area was quite interesting as well, the theming of it, and as you can see from the outside, they'd got a bit of a history. So they got the Fireblade from 1992. They got a model here which I think is maybe 2004, 5 or 6, round about that era. You can probably point me out if I'm wrong on that, but yeah, the whole area around the Fireblade was great, really interesting. This is the Africa Twin. So they've increased the cc capacity on this bike for this year. And I'm no expert on adventure bikes, but I just thought the way that they'd set the stand up with this kind of off-road terrain, and there was plenty of room to maneuver around the bikes and get some good footage, and you could sit on them quite easily, and it was just a brilliant kind of stand really. And the bikes themselves look awesome. I'm really impressed with the front of that. I think it looks really stylish, really aggressive and modern. And I'm no, like I say, adventure bike rider, but if I was going to go for an adventure bike, that's probably one that I'd go for, because I think it looks fantastic. This then is the racing bike area. So the RC211Vs, you've got the Marc Marquez MotoGP machine, and again, it was really well presented. It's nice to see, I like the race bikes. Obviously, different manufacturers set aside different areas usually, and they'll show off their, BSB World Superbike MotoGP machines. And Marc Marquez's bike here just looks fantastic. The whole bike, but especially I like it around the front yoke and the dash, and just having a little look at all the little gadgetry going off and all the buttons and everything on the bars. It's really interesting. So Honda stand, very impressive. Yamaha then, they had a huge area. They kind of split it off into different sections. So they had an area for the road bikes. They had a section again for race bikes. They had a bit of a history of the Yamaha Tenere and the off-road bikes. There were a couple of bikes I was looking at really on this stand. The main one being the Tracer 700. So this is always a popular bike, and the upgrades that they've made to this in terms of the styling, I think it looks fantastic. They've kind of made it a little bit more modern, a bit R1 looking, and they've also upgraded the suspension to a point as well. So again, that bike looks awesome. Um, and I know it's going to be popular because it's always at a good price. You get a lot of value for money with this bike, so I wanted to get some footage of that. But I was really impressed with the Tracer. I've got the Tenere there, so that's a new 700 model, and then this Yamaha Nikon or Nikon, depending on how you're meant to pronounce it. I'm never certain. But this was quite interesting. I believe this is a GT model, but it was all stripped down, so you could see the whole chassis, the frame, the airbox, the engine, everything. And it was quite fascinating seeing the front end on this, because obviously you've got the two wheels and seeing how the suspension and all the linkages work. And yeah, quite a little interesting part of the stand that. This is the Yamaha MT125, and I've also got the MT03. And I just wanted to basically focus on learner bikes. Obviously, most bikes in this video are going to be more performance, naked sports bikes and so on. But it's interesting just to see what manufacturers are doing with 125s. And I thought these look great. It's always important, I think, for manufacturers, because getting somebody on an MT125 gets them into the brand, so they're going to move up to MT03, MT09s and so on in future. And yeah, just thought they will look really good little bikes, those. Ducati, so again, a brilliant stand, really well laid out, and just some stunning bikes as you'd expect. So they've got the Panigale V2, and this is more, I think, a revision of the 959. To me, with Ducati, it's just a looks point of view. I will always make a point to go to their stand just to have a look at the bikes. I'm not necessarily in the market for a Ducati, but it's just interesting to see the bikes in the flesh and have a good look at them. They always look amazing. So they have this Panigale, and then also we've got the Street Fighter V4. So obviously that's a new model. Looks awesome. The only negative I've got on this bike is the wings. Obviously you're seeing that on a lot of models now, but for me it really detracts from the front end. It kind of loses its profile, and it being nice and sleek, you've got those just sticking out. I can see obviously from a racing point of view, but personally I'd rather not have them. But again, it's down to personal preference, I guess. So in the Ducati area, they also had an entire section devoted to the Ducati 916 and the history of that bike. So you've got the race bikes here. You've even got one from the Matrix films, which was launched alongside the films, I believe. And yeah, just very interactive, a lot going on. They had a lot of information about each particular 916 and how relevant it was, Carl Fogarty and so on, and all the history of that. So that was really brilliant to see. BMW then, they again had a huge kind of area of the show. This bike was pretty much at the entrance. It's the Vision DC Roadster, kind of a concept. I believe it's a full electric concept bike. Whether it'll see the light of day and look like this or not in future, I don't know, but it looked pretty interesting and quite eye-catching. They had a bit of a rolling road there that you could, I don't know if you had to book in or not, but you could take part in that. We've got the BMW S1000, and again, the way they presented that was quite impressive. They had it quite high up on different levels and so on. And just, the overall presentation of their stand was great. This is the F900R. I've got a video of this on my channel, one of BMW's new bikes. I thought it looked great, so that's an interesting bike because it's going to rival the MT09 and so on. And here we go into the Triumph stand. Very busy stand. It was a decent size. I think it could probably do with being a bit bigger because it's very popular. Obviously, they've got a lot of new bikes like the Rocket 3, the new Triumph Street Triple, the Bobber and so on, and the new Daytonas, and it was very congested, so it was quite difficult to get around that stand. But an awful lot of bikes, and it's great to see Triumph doing well. And they had a good variety. So obviously they've got the usual bikes, the street triple, the speed triple, and so on. But then they've got the kind of retro range and all sorts of bikes on there, as well as the clothing. So yeah, really nice stand and really good setup. KTM. So I had a little look over the KTM stand. The main bike I was making a point to see was the 890 Duke. Obviously, the 790 has been really popular. The 790 Duke, which is a naked bike. The 890 is a new model. They've got obviously the race bikes on display, so a bit of footage of that here. But in terms of the 890, it's basically obviously a bigger engine than 790, but there's a lot of upgrades. So it's got WP suspension and Brembo brakes. So the actual kind of chassis parts are higher end, and I think that's increased the price quite a lot, over £10,000. I think it might be about 10,300 or 10,400. But yeah, it looked great in the flesh. Now this is a stand I don't normally pay much attention to. This is Indian Motorcycles, but they actually had quite a large area in the hall, and the way that they'd set it up, so they had all the new bikes, but they had kind of a custom area, so a display of custom bikes, and it was really well thought out and presented. They had the Indian FTR Rally, which I've got a separate video on my channel on, and it's not a bike that I personally would look to purchase, but I can appreciate the styling and the design and just the way that they look. I thought Indian had a lot of fantastic looking machines, probably more so than Harley. I had a look around the Harley stand, but wasn't really anything that caught my eye. But yeah, with this FTR Rally, I thought it looked fantastic. It's mainly kind of the exhaust arrangement I like, and the matte finish on the tank. It's obviously kind of custom cruiser style, but it's got quite a modern feel to it, I think. And yeah, if there was ever a bike I'd probably go for in that area, or the custom area, it'd probably be something like this. So I thought that was a really nice bike, and the whole stand was great. This is MV Augusta, only a fairly small stand, but they had a couple of models. They've got the Super Veloce, if that's how you pronounce it. Again, apologies if not. But stunning machines, as you'd expect, similar to Ducati, they always look fantastic. Especially like the kind of rear light on this bike, the LEDs, it looks awesome, and the TFT screen. Just nice exotic bikes, they always look brilliant. I always like to have a look at their stand. This is the Rush 1000 naked bike. Again, kind of drawn to that bike with the LED headlight, but also from the side profile, it looks fantastic. It's got kind of a wheel cover, I don't know what you really call it, on one side. You'll see that shortly, and I think that's going to kind of split opinion. I know this bike started off as a concept, and I think it's got into full production, but yeah, it looked awesome in my opinion. I thought it was fantastic. So that's kind of a lot of the main manufacturers that I was focusing on. I didn't really look at Suzuki because from what I understand, they've not really got many brand new models. They've got some updates, but I kind of focused on the stands in the areas, and the manufacturers have got new models for this year. So this area here is the Isle TT section, and I thought it was really good because they had a lot of race bikes. So you can see the John McGuinness HM Plant Honda there, but also there was a lot of like interactive elements. The way that they'd set up the stand as well, so they've got this area that you'll see shortly, which is kind of like a race grid. So they've got race bikes with mannequins in full leathers and a sidecar, and just the way the entire stand was presented. They've got the trophies, they've even got some PlayStation 4 set up with the TT game, so making it a little bit interactive. They've got sofas where you can sit down and look at the TT footage on the big screen, and it just kind of splits the day up, so rather than just all the merchandise stalls, you've got something else to have a look at. You can have a go on the PlayStation, and I think they had some special guests there as well, so I thought that was really impressive, and hopefully they'll keep that and look to improve it even more going forward. This is then an area where you can try out the adventure bikes, so you can sign up with the different manufacturers, Honda, Yamaha and so on, and it's always a popular little feature, so I thought I'd get a bit of footage of that. and this caught my eye. So this is a CCM Stand, and they got this kind of replica Spitfire. So I'm not familiar with the CCM range of bikes, but just for, it looked impressive, and as I had a wander around, the bikes looked amazing. I think they've got a Spitfire model. That's the actual model name of the bike, and it's nice to see a new, well, relatively new manufacturer going all out and updating the range and so on. This is a Carol Nash custom bike area, so always make a beeline for this. It's pretty much a regular feature of the show. If you go every year, you'll know that they have all the different custom bikes and a lot to look at there. And then kind of finally, we've got a bit of footage of Pete Hickman's road bike. So this is a TT Ulster GP bike, and I thought it'd be a good way to end the video. But hopefully you've enjoyed this. If you've been to the bike show and you want to leave a comment, with your thoughts on it, then please do so. If you've enjoyed the video, just give it a like. And as always, if you want to subscribe to my channel, then please do so. And hopefully we'll put some videos out soon. Okay, cheers.